Retirement planning. Recently, the FaceApp application has become popular, allowing you to see yourself in old age. After reading this section, you will learn how this practice can help you in investing. Do you give money to strangers easily? For example, a quite decent person will approach you on the street and asks for money. It's pretty easy to say to yourself that this is crazy. Why is that suddenly give a stranger money? What if this stranger is yourself, only for future? It's no secret that retirement planning is an important part of personal finance. In some countries, this is one of the main goals of the accumulation of funds. For this, people form portfolios of securities and invest in the stock market. This is the most important reason investors buy mutual funds, etc. In some countries, such planning is not yet widespread. But studies show that everything is so rosy, and among the citizens of Western countries, retirement planning is hard. Today, thanks to the development of science, we are beginning to understand how our innate behavior prevents us from life, in particular in retirement planning. Experts from the Longevity Research Center at Stanford University are conducting research using magnetic resonance imaging, which relate, among other things, to retirement planning. In one series of experiments, the subjects were given the task: imagine yourself in old age in retirement. It turned out that the areas of the brain that lit up brightly when people thought of themselves, in this case, imagining themselves retired, did not light up at all. It seems that the participants in the experiment were thinking about strangers, not imagining themselves. So what will help us plan our retirement? Tune our brains to this activity. In order to fulfill your purpose in old age and cope with your task, you must be in agreement with old age, and with everything what she brings with her, we must tell her yes. The first way is to really think about retirement. You can call it volitional. It's important to accept that you can live happily ever after, realizing yourself to the end, if you already now think about pension and how to finance it, what you will or would like to do in retirement, how you would like to live in the future, etc. It is possible that these thoughts, plans need to be written down and returned to them regularly, controlling goal achievement. It is quite possible to achieve this, especially if you are not alone in your aspiration. The second method was proposed by researchers from Stanford. They invent ways to help people identify with your retired self to try and trick our brains. Scientists conducted experiment. With the help of computer technology for a group of people, their image in old age was modeled what the subjects might look like in retirement. The second group did not form such an image. Then, the subjects were given $1,000 each, of which some had to be put aside for the future, and some to spend. The researchers found that those who saw themselves in old age saved twice as much for retirement more than those who did not see themselves. This is understandable. Those who saw themselves in old age were saving money for more than to a stranger, but to himself. And don't feel sorry for yourself. Thus, this option allows you to strain not only the will and mind, as in the first method, but also to attract the natural power of the subconscious, using modern technology to trick the brain a little. Robert Kiyosaki, in his book, Rich Dad's Guide to Investing, also offers a rather tricky way. Realizing that most people agree that they need to write a financial plan, but few takes the time to do this, I decided to do something in this direction. Somehow, in one of my groups, about an hour before the lunch break, I found a cotton ribbon, cut it into many pieces of different lengths, and asked the audience to take one piece of tape and tie the ends around the ankles of the legs, like the front legs of a horse are entangled. When the listeners' feet were tied about a foot apart, I gave each one more piece of tape, made throw it over the neck, and tied both ends to the ankles too. As a result, they were confused legs and, instead of standing straight, stood hunched over at a 45 degrees angle. One listener asked, "Is this a new kind of Chinese torture?" "No," I replied. "I just transferred each of you to your future, if, of course, you are lucky to live like that for a long time." The ropes now demonstrate what a person feels in old age. A muffled groan went through the class. Some began to reach. Then the hotel employees brought lunch to long tables. Lunch consisted of sandwiches, salad, and drinks. The difficulty was that what should have been lying on sandwiches lay separately in piles. The bread was not sliced, the salad was not cooked, but drinks were in the form of dry powders that had to be mixed with water. Listeners hunched and aged had to cook their own dinner. Over the next 2 hours, they tried with difficulty to cut bread, make sandwiches, prepare salad, dilute drinks, sit down, eat, and then clean up after yourself. Naturally, some of them still needed to go to the toilet during those 2 hours. When those 2 hours were up, I asked them if they would like to take a couple of minutes to write a financial plan on life. Everyone enthusiastically shouted, "Yes." It was interesting to observe with what keen interest they planned their future actions when they were released from the bonds. Their interest in planning is radically changed after their perspective on life changed. As Rich Dad said, the problem with young people is that they don't know how a person feels when it gets old. If you knew this, you would plan your financial life differently. When thinking about retirement, you should focus not just on what you have and what money to spend, but on how to plan your life during this period. Make up your lifestyle in retirement. How will I look? Then will I do? Which of my hobbies will remain, and which will have to change? Say yes to old age.